Holy, just what the doctor ordered, Batman! Tiki here, Batman the Animated Series, coming upon the end of Season 2, with Dragon by my side.
That's right, folks. Long ago, I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as a spirit guide to Gotham, in a way.
And tonight, we're talking about Paging the Crime Doctor. Paging the Crime Doctor, paging Mr. Crime Doctor, Crime Doctor. Yeah. All right, so Dragon, I'm gonna give you a warning right up front, okay? I just heard that my neighbors are being like really rowdy. They're sending up firecrackers, and the cops are apparently on their way. So I don't know. Like, I hope none of that gets picked up on my microphone, but we'll just have to grin and bear it if it does. All right, just throwing it out there as a warning.
Where was this before we started? That's my question.
I literally heard it like as we started recording, Dragon. I swear to God, I literally heard my dad say, "Now they're setting off fireworks," and I hear sirens in the distance. So I don't know. Shit could get real.
That's just dandy. Anyway, getting back on topic. So
okay. So
this.
Yeah, Paging the Crime Doctor. Dragon, I'm just going to come out and say it. I really like the ending to this one. I love pretty much all the Thompkins bits. I like the history. But I wasn't a big fan of, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's in the same league as some of the other episodes we've been talking about recently. And I kind of get a sense that, you know, unless the next episode really exceeds my expectations, which I don't have many expectations for the next episode based on what I know about it, seems like season 2 kind of ends on a little bit of a quiet note. Am I right in saying that? It seems like after these big landmark episodes, we kind of get these, you know, don't get me wrong, this isn't a bad episode. It's just a very self-contained episode, and it's much more quiet than some of the other episodes we've gotten recently. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I mean, you're right in that there is a little bit of a ramp down. You got to remember, you know, Man Who Killed Batman. That's kind of a big benchmark, as you can probably determine there. And again, because we're at the end of season 2, and you got to remember, they're at all these DCAU shows. Unfortunately, they never got the order of like they never knew they were coming back, so they never really have like a finale in play. However, season 2, I will tease this up. We have 3 episodes after this one. And the third one, the finale of season 2, actually, again, it's kind of a very momentous episode. Something really big happens.
Okay.
So again, you kind of have that to look forward to. It's basically it's kind of like a ramp down, but then something kind of big happens, and then we're just we're off to the races with season 3. So that's how that goes. Right. So, yeah. So this one, I guess, a little bit of context. So Paging the Crime Doctor, interesting one. So this is directed by Frank Parr. Of course, he's done some infamous ones like Prophecy of Doom, which actually there's kind of a big whopping reference to Prophecy of Doom in this one.
Oh God. Prophecy of Doom is still to this day probably my least favorite episode of the series we've covered.
You're not wrong. It's very bad. On the flip side, though, what Frank Parr did, and of course I'm always going to owe a debt of gratitude for Frank Parr for introducing me to Deadpool via Hulk versus Wolverine, but the other thing, the Batman-related thing, on the opposite of the spectrum from Prophecy of Doom, Birds of a Feather, one of your other favorites.
Sure.
Okay, so we had a lot of writers on this one. Like it's like the whole teleplay versus the story of it all here. So we have the main writer, the most important of the writers here is Martin Pasco. Martin Pasco, of course, Marty Pasco, as his friends call him. Pasco here, Marty Pasco. So Marty here, he worked on Mask of the Phantasm. That's a big feather in his cap. Essentially, he was the story editor. So even if his name wasn't on the episode, he was one of the guys running the kind of the story room for Batman. So this guy, he was one of the kind of the pillars of the Batman the Animated Series writers room to an extent in terms of editing the stories and kind of punching up things on the slide. But the ones that his name actually made the credit for, you have Phantasm, you have See No Evil. That was a big one for him. And See No Evil, and this one, Paging the Crime Doctor. Those are basically the main 3 that he really kind of got his name on. He wrote this one with Randy Rogel. Of course, Randy Rogel, one of the writers on Two-Face, along with Alan Burnett, I believe, and Robin's Reckoning.
Okay.
Now, also, again, this is where we get into the other pair of writers here. So, Mike W. Barr wrote this one. And Mike W. Barr, I've had the pleasure of meeting this guy. Mike W. Barr, he's a comics writer, and they brought him in on this because he created Leslie Thompkins. I'm pretty sure he created. Yeah, here's the thing. Let me rephrase that. I think he created Leslie Thompkins, but he created the second version of Leslie Thompkins that is like an actual doctor. So at the very least, he's kind of Leslie Thompkins we kind of now know. So he's kind
so
of.
he didn't come up with the name per se, but he came up with the idea.
Oh wait,
like
no,
the
I
general
know what
concept.
it is. I know what it is.
Oh god.
I know. Exactly.
Okay.
So Denny O'Neil created Leslie Thompkins. Then when she became a doctor, it was Mike W. Barr. So they both that's the story there. Basically, what we saw in the animated series is literally the case. Appointment in Crime Alley, which adapted a story from the comics, is Denny O'Neil. And that was just Leslie Thompkins as, the friend of Thomas Wayne's who was there the night Bruce Wayne's parents were killed. So that's like, like the lady who goes to lay the flowers with him in the alley. So that is Leslie Thompkins in her original creation. Then over the years, they kind of spiced her up a little bit. Let's make kind of like this doctor who Batman can go to when he's injured and he can't go to a hospital. And that's the Mike W. Barr version. That's the version we really kind of see in practice here.
Mm-hmm.
The animated series blended them together, but adapted both stories very interestingly. Okay,
nice.
So Mike W. Barr, great writer, did like some of my favorite Ra's al Ghul stories. He did like Son of the Demon and Bride of the Demon, and also did an Elseworld story where Batman was Green Lantern called In Darkest Night. It's like, what if the Ring chose Batman? A bunch of writers.
Okay.
Doing this, Don Yang. We're gonna hit a string of Don
Yang.
Yang.
Don Yang. Yeah, of course.
Spectrum's away. Don Yang will play. Boy, do they
Your
play.
favorite motto in the whole podcast, I think.
Yep. Of course, Don Yang, just to kind of give some thematic ones. They did Appointment in Crime Alley, the first, Leslie Thompkins. Of course, this episode is very much set in Crime Alley, or at least in Park Row. And also Birds of a Feather, another Frank Parr episode. So it's just to give you a little sampling of all the various episodes Don Yang has done. So I already mentioned the whole Leslie Thompkins of it all. So again, it's kind of a big feather in the cap for this one. But the whole crime doctor of it all. So what happened was nowadays they're always reprinting all these encyclopedias and like all these book listings, like all the different Batman characters and villains, and how like Batman after 80 years, Batman after 75 years. Over the years, they always kind of release like a kind of a book for the kiddies, but also for the collectors. And of course, now it's digital, so it's kind of unwarranted these days. Especially if you know all the characters, it's kind of, why am I buying so many different versions of the same thing? But back in the 70s, I want to say that's when they started this sort of thing. So in the 70s, they had this kind of encyclopedia of all the different Batman characters and villains and so on and so forth. And basically, in the animated series, what they did is some of the writers, especially Pasco here, basically they would look through this encyclopedia and kind of try to pull the obscure 40s Batman characters and try to rework them for the animated series. That's how you get, Lloyd Ventrix, the invisible, guy in the invisible suit for See No Evil, for example. He's based on this Mirror Man character that kind of reworked. Like, let's forget the mirrors, let's make him like an invisible man of some sort.
Gotcha.
Some characters didn't make the cut, like the Cavalier, like the famed kind of essentially swashbuckling, sword fighter that Batman went up against. Fun character. He's in Brave and the Bold. Didn't quite make the cut. Didn't make the cut for the
Sounds
animated
like a
show.
Scooby-Doo villain.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. He's pretty. The way Brave and the Bold handles it, pretty much. Basically, a guy, he looks like he stepped out of Princess Bride. It's pretty.
God.
Like Inigo Montoya. That's pretty much
great.
Cavalier is pretty much Inigo Montoya with a funny hat. That's anyway. So of course, they're looking to these characters. And a really obscure character from the 40s, from Detective Comics number 77 from 1943. You have the Crime Doctor, who, and this is a stroke of genius right now. They're looking through this character, Crime Doctor, very 40s-esque, kind of has a great moniker to him. But the thing that jumped out to him is the Crime Doctor. His real name is Matthew Thorne, and of course they're doing the animated series. And by sheer coincidence, wait a minute, we already have a character by the name of Rupert Thorne. We have his brother. Let's use that.
Yeah, links up nicely.
Yeah, one little tidbit. I'm going to save it for when we get to the big scene in the episode towards the end. So we're just going to jump right into it then. We're going to jump right into the episode. Alrighty,
so we start the episode with a basically an ambulance has been hijacked, you know, and they're tailing a cop car. And at first the cop car is like, "Ah, pull over. It's an emergency vehicle. Let them through." But then Dragon, very shocking opening here. The ambulance just fires on the cop car.
Well, it's not a cop car. It's an armored, it's an armored truck of some kind. Because they're not police. There's like guys guarding, but the car.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. God, I hate when I get these details wrong. I feel like a dumbass. Anyways.
Well, an armored truck heist. Yes.
My bad.
They're shooting at it. But this is a great bit. They're like, let them pass. They're thinking it's an ambulance. Let them pass. They're respecting the siren. They put in Curb Your Enthusiasm terms. They're respecting the siren. They go by, he waves them off, and like, oh my God, Tommy gunfire! And then, like they're throwing a smoke grenade in there. Like what? I love literally as they're coughing their brains. They're, what's going on? How did this go so south? And all of a sudden they crash on their turn on their side. Crash because I love whatever truck. In Batman the Animated Series, they always crash in the most spectacular fashion. Look at Mask of the Phantasm. That truck flips over, turns to its side. Bruce Wayne's like almost crushed as the vigilante Bruce Wayne, and it be a spectacular crashing in Batman the Animated Series, especially done by Don Yang.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So point being, truck goes sideways. We have Rupert Thorne's three henchmen of the episode. We have Jake Hoffman. Funny that he gets the full name, by the way, but they call him Jake in the episode. Just point we have Jake, we have Chubb, and we have God, I know the other guy's name because it sounds like Beecham. It's Beecham because it sounds a lot like Meacham, which of course is our running back.
Which one's the guy with the beard?
That's Jake. That's Hoffman. And fun fact, Tiki, that guy is voiced by someone we know. Well, Roger Bumpus. That's Squid.
Oh wow! Okay, nice.
Yeah. The lead.
Very versatile. I wouldn't have guessed.
He's good, man. He's really good. I mean, honestly, Dr. Membrane blew my mind when I first learned about that. Oh my God, Squidward's Dr. Membrane from Invader Zim. What do you know? Anyway.
I just like the design of a guy with a beard. It's like you don't see too many bearded henchmen. You know what I mean?
You don't. They all look very distinct. And again, the idea is this guy looks distinct. That Batman would remember him from a previous encounter. I thought I recognized him, one of Rupert Thorne's men. He puts on a little surgical mask, and again, surgical mask being kind of a fun tip-off to you, kind of who he's in service of here, and also again trying to cover up from the gas they use on the guards there to keep them busy and kind of knock them out. They get this. Basically, they're stealing an expensive surgical laser, an expensive kind of prototype medical laser. Anyway, so point being, it sounds like Jake here is kind of the brains of the operation too, because he said, "I told you the heist would go off no sweat, go off great. We just tip over the car, steal a thing, no problems." And of course, as they're saying this, as they're kind of like getting ready to celebrate, as they're driving away, I love this shot. Don Yang is on fire with all the the menacing Batman silhouette shots. I love Batman running across the bridge that they're on. He's like running across the bridge, chasing them, and the grapple comes on the inside of the ambulance roof. And, this is so cool. One guy opens the back, he looks on the top of the car, and you see Batman, and he turns at him, he's looking at him, like holding on to the guy. That's great.
Awesome. Yeah. And I just really appreciate the shot of, like, Batman running alongside the car, too.
Yeah.
Just, like, up. Like the camera pans up and he's there. Like, I told you to go off without a hitch. No, not necessarily. Not quite. Almost.
Exactly. So our guys are in a jam. So the bad guys are in a jam here, and like they're firing the Tommy gun at the roof, taking kind of shattering their legs. You gotta remember, it's not so much that they hijacked the ambulance. I mean, the chances are they either bought it or they stole, and then they have to go to a lot of trouble to fix this thing up again.
You know what, Dragon? I'm sorry. I was eating dinner when I was watching this episode, and so in my own headcanon, I was like, oh, the thing that they stole was already in the ambulance, and this is their getaway. I totally missed the part where they stole the thing from the armored car. I feel embarrassed. My bad. Anyways.
Okay, so they're aiming the Tommy gun at the roof, kind of classic thing when Batman's on the roof. They always try to do it. So Batman, this is my favorite bit of the animation. I love how Batman he's holding, using my favorite gadget, using the grappling gun. He's hanging back on the grappling gun. So basically, he's basically like a kite on the back of this ambulance, trying to shake him. So basically, okay, shooting at the roof. I'm just gonna hang back here and just kind of glide a little bit, and of course, just climbs back on once the machine gun fire stops. And so then Chubb here, he stops suddenly, and we have this great, awesome roll here. Basically, Batman, traditionally you think, oh god, if the car stops, Batman's gonna he's gonna land on the street, he's gonna be a goner, he's gonna get knocked out, or have an ungraceful landing. But no, it's Batman, kids. It's this awesome kind of roll in midair, so he lands on his feet and turns around facing him like a bullfighter practically with a vehicle. So they're about to run him down, and Batman timed it so perfectly. He jumps on the hood of the car, jumps on the hood.
Yeah, I love this move. I love this move. It's like, no, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm going to make you crash, and I'm going to make sure you crash safely.
Mm-hmm. But I love it when he does this move, too, because he does it a couple times in the images where he uses the cape to block the windshield.
Yeah.
Like in the nearby area. So, well, anyway, so they crash. Batman, of course, he grabs. There was a bit too during the action scene when he grappled onto the ambulance. He took Jake's gun and he just kind of tossed it, which is kind of really like the Batman no guns moment. Really nice. So now the thing's crashed. Batman he grabs Jake. He's about to interrogate him as to what's going on. And before he can do that, Beecham panics. He goes for the prototype medical laser, and basically this has always been a haunting moment of the episode for because it's so unusual and so unlike what we do in Batman here. Because again, it's not like we're not doing like an over the top cartoony way like in the Spider-Man '90s show where you always use like laser blasts instead of like actual guns. In this case, like okay, this is like an actual. It's a buy, mind you, that we could use like a medical laser like a gun, kind of like this, but still, it's something.
I like it though. I like it.
I know.
You know what? I really like the fact that this whole it is kind of a Deus Ex Machina, this thing that they steal. But what I like is that they never really use it for the thing that it's intended for, which is to erase fingerprints, and instead it's just used as a weapon like throughout the episode. I think that's kind of clever.
Well, it's not really for the fingerprint stick. It's for like brain surgery. It's like an actual surgical laser you can use. You can cut through stuff that.
Well, yeah, but that's what they were going to use it for, right? Was to get rid of the fingerprints?
No, Tiki, he's already gotten rid of the guy's fingerprints before the laser comes in. That's what you're thinking. Okay. Doesn't matter. It's fine. The point being, but what I'm saying is, I love how the laser is like a practical laser that you can use in the thing, though, and that's that. I love it's grounded enough, even though we've kind of like a little heightened, like how we can just fire it at Batman from such a distance. But again, though, it's grounded so much. Like when Batman gets hit by that thing, I'm like, oh my god, what are we just doing to Batman?
Yeah.
It's the way it cuts off the bat ear. That's the thing that always stuck me. It cuts off the top of the bat ear, and it's like, oh god, it's like nicked him in the head. All right, let's see. So, Batman's down. I love this injury. Really sticks with him the whole episode too. Batman's really, he's really taken off his game by that hit. It's really discombobulated. He's like just narrowly avoided death. Gave him a little bit of a concussion.
And of course, this is the second time in a few episodes that we see Batman take a bad fall.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, and there's a fun connected bit with that too, by the way, given who our villain of the episode is. So let's see. So we have the very semi-realistic damage that the laser makes. Batman is surprise attacked by Jake. Jake, big honking fella here, big guy, knocks Batman.
Okay, Dragon. I just so I'm not like thrown off for the fucking rest of the episode. All right, because this is the one thing that I probably should have asked you about before we went on air.
Yeah.
Why do they need the weapon? Is it just a weapon, or like are they repurposing it, or what?
It's literally just it's a medical laser that his brother getting him something that he can use in the practice. It's not a weapon. It's just that's all it is. Just like a expensive medical thing he could use.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's experimental though. It's like a prototype for like a new cutting edge medical thing you can use, like the Pixar image computer has.
That's the only thing that really kind of lost me is are they going to repurpose it, or are they going to use it for its actual intention, or what?
Yeah, they're just using it for the actual intention. It's a medical laser. That's all.
All right. I'm sorry. I don't know why that threw me off so much.
Anyway. Okay, what was it? All right, so he knocks Batman for a loop here, and again, believably so, because Batman's already he's playing hurt, and he's going to be playing hurt the rest of the episode here, and basically the laser jams. I love the bit that the laser jams because I think it needs to be like fully charged, and they just like stole it fresh out of the box. So it just kind of fired a few times, it jams, and then Jake takes the opportunity to overpower Batman, and essentially throw him off the bridge. And they're figured, oh, he's a goner. No one could have survived that fall, and of course we see escaped by the skin of his teeth, landing like one of those gondola cable car things.
I love the gondola escape. That's great.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So, yeah. So of course now Rupert Thorne's walking in with Jake here, and he does. Yeah, Jake. So you say you think you iced the Batman. Of course, after Man Who Killed Batman with Rupert Thorne, I
That's
think
what I'm saying, man. It's a weird kind of like almost pseudo sequel.
That's what I'm saying. I love the continuity there, where he's saying like, "Okay, I'm not going to fall for that again." Distance, I don't buy it. All right, that bit me in the end last time. I don't buy it. So, of course, Rupert Thorne in the episode, voiced by the incomparable John Vernon. I love it when we get Rupert Thorne. Oh my goodness, such a great actor, that John Vernon. So then, of course, we basically Rupert Thorne. He's delivering the laser to his brother, who is the crime doctor. So when we walk in there, crime doctor's in the middle of some mob treatments. Of course, like classic mob treatment, erasing the fingerprints on a guy.
Oh, okay, my bad. That's what I was thinking. I'm so dumb.
It's an old school mob tactic where basically you burn the fingertips off so they can't be identified. And I don't know if the guy's just jumping ahead here, but I think it's the guy saying like, so I'll never have fingerprints again. I don't think it's how that works. I don't know if he's just jumping the gun, or maybe Matthew Thorne's that good a doctor he can actually make it so they don't come back. I don't know.
Gotcha.
So Matthew Thorne, the brother, and again, this is a fun revelation about Rupert Thorne. They had a brother. It was so great about this episode too. He's voiced by the great Joseph Campanella. Joseph Campanella, who, by the way, the thing I know him from other than this is Spider-Man animated series. He was Kirk Connors in the animated series for Spider-Man. He was really good too. Really good actor.
Another doctor.
Mm-hmm. Another doctor, and also again another Marvel thing. If you look at John Byrne as John Byrne from the Incredible Hulk series as Thunderbolt Ross, and we have now Dr. Kirk Connors, Spider-Man. Of course, they're brothers. They're brothers in Marvel, technically.
Okay. Shoot.
How do you feel about the brotherly dynamic here? Brotherly dynamic. So Matt essentially feels some distance between his brother. Feels a lot of disdain for his brother, I should say.
It's very Godfather-esque, Dragon. It's very Godfather-esque. It's very much like, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. You know, it's like Matt very much does not want to be involved with this. It's a family business sort of thing. And, it's very circumstantial. I love, this is one of the things I am liking about Season 2 a lot, is the fact that we are getting these kind of morality plays around these sort of like one-off characters. So that's neat. It doesn't necessarily lead to the most dynamic and landmark episodes of the show, but it does lead to thought-provoking episodes, and the ending of this episode, if anything else, is thought-provoking. So
absolutely. So, but this is, you're absolutely right. It's almost like a Sonny Corleone and a Michael Corleone relationship in terms of the brotherly dynamic, where you have the one who's like fully into the life, where he's like, say, oh, you don't want to get into bada bing, what are you going to do with the guy? That sort of dynamic. Where you have the initiated brother versus the one who's kind of kept on the fringes, the one who really has like a disdain for the work until eventually he succumbs to it. So it's very absolutely Godfather's absolutely. They always love pulling Godfather stuff. Rupert Thorne, as you can probably guess, being
I know this
of the mob, and also again Rupert Thorne, little Vito Corleone-esque every time you look at him. He's got Brando hair. So, anyways, so of course very much the idea here being, Matt hates that he's been turned into a mob doctor from a very a doctor with a practice, a respectable doctor. But I love that his brother sees it as, I gave my brother work when the system revoked him, when the system like rejected him and kind of left him penniless. I was there to pick him up, and I turned him into a doctor using my own, using my power that I could use. I love Rupert Thorne sees that he's doing his brother a great service, but also I'm sure on some level he feels guilty for being the reason his brother was stricken of his medical license in the first place. Fascinating dynamic between siblings, and only in one episode too, is to complement your earlier points. So he brought Matt more equipment, which is the laser. Nothing's too good for my brother, the crime doctor. Oh, I love how John Vernon says that. The crime doctors. That's the thing. He's just giving his brother like yet another goodie, as it were, like yet another kind of great medical thing that he can probably use on his guys. And of course, his brother being very kind of resentful, saying, yes, I can use this for all the brain surgeries. I'm never gonna. I'll practice on my distinguished patients." Well, the history and passion behind it. It's like history and passion behind exposition, because they're really just kind of saying, here's our relationship, but they're saying it so naturally, so compellingly, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's like pretty much instantly they just kind of get into this big argument that, you know, is literally so intense that it leads to a heart attack.
Mm-hmm. So he learns that Matt lost it. So basically, we the audience learned through this argument that Matt lost his license probably saving his brother's life, or at the very least, he did an off the books kind of a bullet removal for his brother. He took a slug out of his brother without calling into the cops like you're supposed to. He got caught by the medical board, I guess, and they revoked it. They took back his license, and they kicked him out of the medical community, and he's been upset with that. And of course he blames Rupert Thorne for that. And Rupert Thorne says, "Well, I gave you everything because I felt guilty about it. I gave you business. I did everything within my power to fix that, and you're still ungrateful." And I love he gets really angry with them. "Don't you ever talk to me like that? Me, who gave you everything?" And then he keels over like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, this episode, like, from the Tommy guns to the heart attack and everything like that, and firing on the police, it's an intense opening 5 minutes or so.
Yes. All right, so now we're at from one hospital to another as he's kind of working on saving his brother's life yet again. But again, the other thing too, I love that he helped his brother in the first place. In just helping his brother, it cost him everything. I just love that being the centerpiece of their whole dynamic. He saved his life, and he lost everything. And again, like his brother saying, "Well, you know who I was." It's not a matter of like who he was, like knowing that he was in the bad stuff. It's the fact it was his brother, and he couldn't. Almost a McGill dynamic to an extent. Yeah.
Oh, kind of a McGill dynamic. It's in that vein.
Yeah, it's in the vein of a McGill
dynamic. Right, from one hospital to another. And by the way, I love all these background extras that we get in this episode. The bums kind of hanging out outside of Leslie Thompkins' hospital.
Yeah. So of course, Leslie Thompkins. We get the name on the place, which is a really nice detail. I kind of forgot about it. It's the Thomas Wayne Memorial Free Clinic. That's what she runs. I forgot that she named it after Thomas Wayne, which is a really nice touch. So it's basically she's diagnosed. He'll be fine. Just make sure he gets bed rest, all that, that sort of stuff. And of course, a fun bit here where we see Batman.
6 feet. Wash your damn hands.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Anyway, so I love that the kid spots Batman's silhouette, and he's just pointing out to the mom, who's just not.
That's a great detail. That's a great detail.
So Leslie also spots this, and of course she knows it's kind of her next client. So what is it this time, Bruce? And then Batman just kind of passes out on her again, very dramatic. And again, I love the aftermath of that laser blast to the head all throughout this thing, where he just passes out, man. And then we have this great kind of like transition with the pupil, the pupil check with the light. It's kind of transitioning from one scene to another. Basically, we learn that Bruce is fine. It's mostly him suffering from the minor concussion, probably from the fall down. Like, again, we obviously wasn't like hit directly in the head by that laser blast. It was a close call, though. The fall and the surprise of that, maybe some light singeings, but really kind of took him off his game.
And then, importantly, she says to take the day off. Take the day off. Don't stay in bed all day tomorrow. Which, as you know, for Batman, kind of a tall order.
It is. And of course, she says, as she always says, gives him like some pills. Like, you can take one of these every 4 hours, but you never follow my orders. You never follow my instructions anyway. So what's the point? And of course, we have this nice bit when she reminisces about Thomas Wayne, which is a big flagpole for the episode here, a little big kind of tentpole moment that's going to definitely pay off by the end here. Your father,
Dragon, I'm going to warn you. I've got a little bit of a Harry Potter rant going on with this Thomas Wayne connection. We'll get to it.
Oh, God. Anyway, God bless Thomas Wayne. God bless your father. He was, and I love how we have this photo of her and Thomas Wayne in the corner that we kind of transition to as she's talking about Thomas Wayne. She says, he always said you were stubborn from the day you were born. And we have the music cue being hit here, kind of a lighter version of the Batman theme. But again, that all stems from the Wayne parents. So I love that's kind of the origin of the Batman theme, but it's played more dramatically when he's in the suits. That's kind of a really smart musical thing we're doing here. He always said you had a hard head. I guess he didn't know the half of it, though. He actually has a hard head for when he's fighting crime and beating people up in a bat costume.
All right, so just to yada yada past this next scene a little bit because it's pretty much exposition.
Yeah.
So essentially, Rupert Thorne he needs a complicated surgery. It's something beyond what his brother can do for him, and he's insisting on no hospitals. There's like a line of gangsters that are willing to take him out in a hospital.
Very direct Godfather
He's asked
reference.
pretty much, yeah. He's asking his brother if there's anyone he trusts who could help him with said operation. And Dragon, his brother, can think of one person.
And they wouldn't help voluntarily. And I love the desperation of Rupert Thorne. It's just so telling about their relationship, where it's probably what happened in the first place. His brother was injured, like on his last breath, like, please, Matt, please. I'll get him, Matt. I'll send the boys after him. So who's the guy? And basically says he tantalizes Matt with the license that he so desires because he wants to be a real doctor again. Says, I'll get you that license, man. I know people. Says, okay, well, I'll go with him though. The try and sweet talk him at first. Source says, okay, Leslie Thompkins. Her name is Leslie Thompkins. So, oh boys, the crime doctor and the boys show up at the clinic for claiming there's an urgent matter and there's an old friend who's in trouble. There was an old friend in trouble, and basically the boys bust open the door, and we have this. The shadow work in this episode is amazing. Did you notice that the shadow work just looks fantastic?
Yeah, totally. So I love this beat where Matt walks into Leslie's office and he sees the photo that we focused on before.
Mm.
He's like, that brings me back, Leslie. Remember when I took this? And so here we go, Dragon. Here we go. My Harry Potter connection. This totally reminds me of the dynamic with the parents in Harry Potter because, in Harry Potter you find out that a bunch of the professors and Harry's parents are all kind of like tied together socially, and they all went to school together, and they all kind of like practiced under Dumbledore together. And all right, just want to geek out about that for just a second. This photo very much reminds me of the Harry Potter connections and the family trees and all that. I'm done. Okay.
Right, something we glossed over again, kind of very famous Leslie Tompkins image. When they burst through the door, she runs to go grab the bat, and again, it's kind of that Mike W. Barr, Leslie Thompkins, where again she's the tough lady who runs the clinic and kind of grabs a bat if she needs to knock some heads.
Oh.
So anyway, so then she realizes Matthew Thorne. It's been ages. He remembers when he took the picture, and we reveal like what's written on the back of the photo. Thanks for all the good times with my best friends. Love Matthew. So Leslie Tompkins heard that, Leslie's heard that Matt's been practicing without a license.
Matt is Wormtail, Dragon. Matt is Wormtail.
I don't know what that means.
I know you don't. Anyways.
Anyway. So among other things, he's been doing things without his license, and apparently most of the things she's heard are true, given the boys just broke down her door. So he's long and short of it here is that he's asking for her assistance, offers her money, tries everything in his power here to do it the nice way, and says, I know what kind of money that is. Leslie Tompkins for the win, man. She's sticking with the principles, man. It's a no-go. And then Matthew, I love how this scene plays so much, where he says, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, and basically sends the boys and the kidnapper. This feels so much like a radio drama, the way the scene plays out. So rich in character. I love the lighting on it too, where it's basically you can hear the sound design so well, where it's like Leslie's running around the room, and off screen you can hear her being taken by the man. You see the regret on Matthew Thorne's face, where he didn't want to go down this way, but he's doing whatever it takes to become a doctor again. It's the slippery slope thing. Like, if you're willing to do this again, doctor's guiding principle. It's almost a similar vow to the Batman to an extent, man. It's like, you do no harm, you don't kill, you don't do bad stuff like that. What's the doctor doing? He's borderline doing some bad stuff right now. Nothing that can't be undone, but some bad stuff right now. Tore up her nice little clinic. Meanwhile, I love how Bruce is using his downtime to do some detective work. Where he's
We've been getting a lot of good Bruce Alfred detective scenes, and this episode is no exception. This scene, at least.
So he's looking at the mask from the heist they kind of grabbed from Jake, and he sees the mask has a little imprint on it, a little tag on it. Rose Commercial Laundry Company, and he realized, I knew I recognized that guy, and this is one of Rupert Thorne's legitimate businesses. And Alfred has this wonderful dry realization of this fantastic pun. He says, Rose Thorne It's clever in a prosaic sort of way. Prosaic sort of. Sorry, it's prosaic. It's clever in a prosaic sort of way.
Can I just say I love the image of the bat cowl on the
Me
mannequin?
too. I love it too. I think the idea is like might be examining the wound a little bit, but it's also Alfred. He's going to have to patch it up, so he needs to put it on the mannequin to fix it up.
Right, right.
Of course, we have this great visual distinction. Like, what does Rupert Thorne want with a surgical laser? Which is an excellent question. Like, does
That's
he want?
my question, Bruce. Thank you. I was confused about that as well.
Yeah, we know what he wants, but he doesn't yet.
I'm just milking my own stupidity, Dragon.
All right. Okay.
I'm trying to save my stupidity and turn it into a bit to salvage it.
Right. Okay. So our two doctors prepare. They prepare for surgery, and Matt's trying to justify his choice here. A lot of that going around this week with the stuff we've been recapping, justifying choices that we make in life.
Right.
Anyway, so he says this is his only chance to become a doctor again, and Leslie, I love what Leslie Thompkins does here. In the animated series, you had the best take on Leslie Thompkins, period, man. It's like in the Angel of Mercy take on Leslie Thompkins, always the wise woman, also a really good doctor, saying, "You believe him?" He says, "Yeah, he's got lots of important friends. I'm sure he can do it." No, do you believe he will? It's like, that's why we love her, man. Yes, it's Thompkins for the win, right? Of course he will. He's my brother. But I love the doubt in Campanella's voice right there when he says, "Of course he will. He's my brother." So you get a sense that he knows is going to be like another promises thing with his brother. And we don't know for a fact Ron wouldn't have held up his end of the bargain. But even if he did, I'm sure he would have delayed it somehow.
Okay.
So Batman and Alfred.
Yeah,
Well,
Batman and Alfred are. Bruce and Alfred are. They're looking through Leslie's office, seeing that it's been ramsackled. Alfred's asking if we should call the police. Bruce says not just yet.
I love.
And then Bruce discovers the matte thing, the matte signature on the back of the photograph. Kind of puts two and two together. Asks Alfred about a Matt connection. Matt Thorne, Rupert Thorne, two medical related Thorns. Can't be a coincidence.
So a few things here. I love one. I love Alfred's driving uniform. I love when we kind of see him in the driving outfit.
Yes, totally.
Two, I love the logic plot wise. Okay, so they want to know about the medical laser and like what it could possibly be used for, like what Rupert Thorne might be wanting to do with it. So they're going to their medical expert, which would be Leslie Thompkins. And of course, they're kind of happening upon the other stories happening under their noses. So that's kind of really great element of crossover there. But also, again,
you're right. It is good. It is good storytelling.
Again, we establish here for Bruce that so his father again, so he's learning something really new about his father. He never knew that. In addition to Leslie Thompkins, he knew he had a connection to a Thorne, Matthew Thorne. They were the three Musketeers, even.
Harry Potter.
All right. All right. Anyway.
The Marauders, Dragon. The Marauders.
All right. Point being,
they even have a special name for their group and everything. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Point being, we're tying things nicely together here. That's my point. So.
All right.
Anywho, so now onto the surgery. So basically, the surgery went great. So Rupert Thorne, he's out of Dodge. He's all good there. Matt's very grateful, but Leslie, she's just utterly disgusted with him, and she's scrubbing out. She's getting ready to get changed, and what she thinks is, okay, I'm going to go home after this. But then Chubb informs Matt of Rupert Thorne's order before he went under. What is that order?
She needs to be disposed of so she doesn't spill the beans, as William Dafoe would say about the operation. So she can't leave the building alive, essentially.
Exactly. So they gotta kill her because no one can know about this place, and this is not what Matthew Thorne wanted to hear, and this is really bad for him because again he's one like the rope her into the thing like, against her will, but not to kill her. Mm-hmm. So by the way, I meant to mention this earlier as well. This was the anime Dong Yang. They weren't crazy about that. The animators weren't crazy about doing this episode because basically this act of the episode is they call it the geezer show. But you know what? I would say I think the action's quite. I still think it's quite compelling stuff.
I mean, honestly, it's kind of like Marvel Netflix style action, Dragon. It's a bunch of hallways.
Yeah, but it's still compelling though.
It's compelling enough, but I can understand, like, in terms of, like, if you're working on a Batman show and most of it is contained to a hospital setting, I can kind of understand the frustration with that.
My point is, I think they should give themselves more credit. It's like they still did really good work with it. Though. They should really write it off as like the geezer show, because basically like old people running for their lives. It's kind of what the act is. But
Okay, you know what? The geezer show is whatever the hell that episode was with Batman, with Alfred going to that, meditation thing. That was the geezer show.
Yeah, you're right about that. But I had Poison Ivy in it, so they were able to jazz it up in their eyes, I guess. Anyway, back on point. So okay, so this is, you're gonna love this. Speaking of other episodes, some infamous episodes. So the orderly is wheeling Rupert Thorne back to his room so he can recover and everything. And he does that, and of course Batman is tailing him. Is kind of following him behind, and the orderly knows this. Now, the orderly, Tiki, we've seen this orderly before.
Have we?
This is Lucas from Prophecy of Doom. This is the henchman of Nostromus.
Oh man!
So here's what probably happened. They just reused the model and they didn't realize it. But here's the thing though. He doesn't really speak, and from what I can recall, Lucas doesn't really speak that much in Prophecy of Doom. So it's not really. I love my headcanon, because there's nothing saying this isn't the case, they just reuse the model, so it doesn't really... I like to think that Lucas, in that episode, I mean, not great, but he kind of put up a fight against Batman. I think Rupert Thorne's looking for some protection for his brother via the orderly. He's like, well, this guy needs work. He fought Batman once. He'll guard my brother, he'll be the orderly. That's my logic for it. Lucas is looking for work. Why can't it be the same guy? Because he was the same model. Might as well just kind of, like, let's play it as is. Play it where it lands. Okay, gets into a Batman here, so he knows that Batman's falling. And there's this great bit here where he's waiting behind the corner. He kind of surprise attacks Batman, which again, Batman's playing hurt this episode. Man, he's off his game to be hit like this, and it's hit right where he was injured too, right in the head. So it's like, oh god, man, Batman's being knocked for a loop this episode. So it's surprisingly a very even fight with Batman being hurt as he is here. So then this fight leads to the supply closet. He's tossing scalpels at Batman. Let's see. So then
that's a pretty scary scene right there.
It is. We have this great like Batman in peril shot too, where like Batman's like, oh god. So that's
what I'm saying. Like you can totally like see the fear in his eyes as he's coming towards him with the scalpel.
So he dodges a scalpel, and then there's this really awesome move he does, like in a confined space, where he reaches up for like this. It's like almost like it's like a giant first aid. It's like a foot locker that is a first aid kit. He kind of reaches up,
right,
throws it at him, which is great. Then the guy goes. Then Lucas here goes for the now charged laser. It's kind of a full circle rematch of Batman going up against the laser that took him out in Act 1.
Mm-hmm.
So meanwhile, we're cut back to the other story here, where Chubbs and Matt here, they're getting ready to take Leslie Thompkins out here, and he tells him, if you don't do this, the deal's off the table for your license. You have to follow through on this. You can't get in our way. You can't stop us. So Matt says, okay, look, if we're going to do this, I want to do it my way. It'll be cleaner this way. Plus, it'll make it look like she just had a heart attack. He's going to inject her. So
Dragon, I gotta tell you, this whole bit with the injection, really, I was kind of on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh my god, this guy's really lost his morals.
Again, crime
he's
doctor,
really going along with it.
When you go into this episode, call him the crime doctor. You don't know if he's going to come out with a happy ending or not.
Right.
All right, so back to the action. Batman's dodging some laser beams, and he basically, this is a great pounce from he basically climbs up a crate unseen. He descends on our guy here. He descends on Lucas, and he disarms.
I don't know why, but I really like the animation that's done on the damage to the boxes. How the boxes are just totally like seared.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We have this. We have this great bit where this off-screen lift and punch. Where sometimes in Standard Press they don't like to show Batman punching people in the face too much because it's a dumb thing. The point being, it's like you've seen him punch people, but sometimes you'll see like when he punched Rupert Thorne at the end of Man Who Killed Batman. You didn't see the punch, you just heard it, and you saw Rupert Thorne like spinning around. So sometimes I like to obscure. But this is a cool way of doing it, where he lifts him up, and bam, and then he falls off screen. It's great. Let's see. So then Matt and Chubb here, they go to Leslie Thompkins. Leslie Thompkins, oh, you're no better than your brother. As she's being held and getting prepped for the injection. Matty apologizes to her and says, I don't have a choice. And of course, we reveal big misdirect here. You think, oh, he's doing like little cotton balls. Like, oh no, she's
the cotton ball is what freaked me out, Dragon. That was the realistic detail that freaked me out.
Oh yeah. Of course, we then the misdirect because he actually injects Chubbs. Here, he injects Chubb and then the set. Chubbs.
I love how Chubbs he has this like realization of what happened. He's like, "Oh no!"
Remember, he thinks he's dying right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't know it's a sedative. As a sedative, he'll be fine.
Standards and practices.
I'd like to think his plan B was that if this double cross didn't work, I'd just knock her out and they would. And I can hopefully maybe sneak her out somewhere.
Right, yeah.
And we have this really great bit here where it's like, if I did this so you could, basically he did all this so they could escape, and he's telling Leslie, I want my license back, but it's not worth somebody dying for. It's not worth somebody's life. And then she has this great thing, which says, now you're talking like a doctor. Nice. Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
All right, meanwhile, Beecham and Jake, they find out, okay, something's gone wrong here. Chubbs is knocked out. We're going to pursue people who double-crossed us. Let's see, so then now we're in kind of the geezer show of it all here, which is not a bad thing. Again, nothing wrong with geezers as far as
like I said, Dragon, it's like it's Marvel Netflix. It's people running through hallways. Like you said, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. So the point being, they're on the run here. They're heading to the roof as they're pursued now. They're going to the elevator. I love this bit here where Matt he tosses the cart, like a little medicine cart at him. They kind of slow him down, and the gun goes off by accident. It's like really skinning the
accident hallways. Matt, I'm just realizing that.
You're right about that, sir. You're right about that. The elevator opens, a nick of time, they escape, and of course, then the other elevator opens, and we have an awesome bat entrance. As the elevator doors open, Batman takes out the beat jump, and then he's dealing with Jake, who has the Tommy gun here, and unfortunately, Jake, he's awfully crafty because Batman throws a little knockout gas pellet, and Jake he can use his hat as like a little makeshift mask, and he takes the elevator that just opened up to the roof. So that's Jake's awfully crafty. You gotta give it to him. So we're on the rooftop now. So Matt and Leslie, they're trapped on the roof, and they have to jump for it. It's narrow enough to make it, but again, if you were a little more spry, it might be something a little easier said than done. So Matt he makes it. Very shockingly, he makes it. And now Leslie, she knows for a fact, okay, I'm not going to make that. I'm not going to make that jump. But machine gun fire.
And I just, the machine gun fire is kind of like the detail that really kind of made me nervous. Like, oh God, I mean, first of all, it's a little bit unrealistic that she's not getting hit, but whatever. That's just a gimme with cartoons sometimes. But anyway, so she jumps and Matt grabs her. She's dangling on. Batman gets a hold of Jake. Wraps him in with the batarang. And then Batman goes for the save with Leslie.
I love
dives off the building and does a really dramatic, or I'm sorry, not batarang, bat hook, Dragon, or whatever it's called, the bat grappling hook.
Yeah, the grappling gun. So the point being, you're right there. So he kind of wraps up Jake, and of course Leslie, she's about to fall. She falls, and we have this amazing bat save where he just jumps off the roof in an instant. With the grappling gun, he fires it on the way down. He kind of swings and grabs her just at the nick of time. Really nice. Because he's saving somebody he cares about, which is even better. Kind of swings to a different roof, different part of like a rooftop or like a kind of a ledge on the outside of the building somewhere, and then we have this this cutesy little line here. It says, "I thought I told you to take the night off."
I love that.
So then we pan up to Matt. And I love this transition. We pan all the way up to Matt, and we transition from him looking down to looking down in a visitor room of, I believe, like a jail or someplace. He's in a jail. He's in like the visitor room. So here's the big scene. Oh my god! So this is the stuff we got to talk about. So big scene.
Yeah, this scene like
kind of
really just makes the whole episode worth it.
So I love this. I love that Bruce when he walks through the door. We go from the shadow where he has like kind of a big kind of silhouette with the white eyes, a little ache in the Batman, and he comes out of it because he's absolutely like, we get a taste of what Bruce Wayne is. Just we peel away the Batman. It's all Bruce Wayne at this moment. Because whenever he gets really vulnerable about his past, he becomes full Bruce Wayne. So he wrote a letter asking for a little meeting with Matt, kind of extend his offer and might be able to help him here. Basically offers to help him with his legal cost and maybe put in a good word with the judge. And Matt's saying, well, what do you get out of this? And I love Kevin Conroy here. I love how vulnerable he is in the vocal performances. Well, there is something you can do for me. He says, nope. Thorne's like, no, okay, I'm not. Matthew Thorne is no longer for sale. I knew there was a catch. He's knocking on the door to get the guards. I guess it's over. But then, again, it's greater. Bruce says, well, no, it's not an illegal favor. It's just that I don't want any illegal favors. What then? And then just, oh, God. And it's just like something only you know, something only you can give me. And we have the music just playing here. It's fantastic. He says, okay, I want you to tell me about my father. And it's, oh, God. It's just, tell me about my.
The best part of it is that we don't hear a word being said, but everything is just implied visually so well, and it's such a good resolution.
So there's a fun story behind this. So just the whole tell me about my father. So this is a huge win in the episode when they were really going through this. Like Alan Burnett, like he gave notes on this. He gave him chills when he read the script on this. Like gave me chills that ending. It's a big emotional gut punch of the episode. Of course, as I said, they kind of Matthew Thorne is a smile, and the two of them where we draw out. Basically, they're drowned out by scores. The two of them sit and talk, and there's a little animation there in the scene, though. If you notice, the door disappears. But again, it's like we don't care. After that beautiful moment, who cares? The door disappears. Doesn't matter. So here's the thing. So this was pitched. So basically, this from the pitch from the very beginning. They had the ending of the episode figured out. Okay, Matthew Thorne and we're going to connect Matthew Thorne and Thomas Wayne, and would lead to this ending. So the way Pascal pitched this was that what if we ignore Grey Ghost? And basically, in his head canon, like if Grey Ghost didn't happen, what we would have in this episode is Thomas Wayne had a distant relationship with Bruce Wayne. That as in he was a loving father, but the fact is he was always busy with being a rich guy and being a doctor and everything. He was busy, and the idea is that when they went to see the movie that night, that was Bruce and Thomas's first big bonding experience, really. Them going to the movie, and of course, when they died, Bruce felt really horrible about it because that was like their big moment. He kind of pressed, like, "Come on, let's see the movie, And of course, dead. But I really like the middle ground here. Obviously, we can't say Grey Ghost didn't happen because how could you not say Grey Ghost happened? It's fantastic. So, at the end of the day, middle ground that we have in the episode here, I love that even with Bruce Wayne and his father having their little bonding, kind of the regular bonding thing over Grey Ghost, I love that he knew Thomas Wayne as his father, but not as a person, not as like Thomas Wayne the doctor, not as Thomas Wayne, like it's like how we ourselves, like we know we know our fathers as kids, like in relation as a family man. We don't know who they were. We learn about that sometimes in the aftermath. He learns what kind of man he was, and I love that the crime doctor helped Batman heal emotionally, it's quite beautiful when you think about that. The crime doctor, a guy kind of based around Crime Alley, kind of helps, he helps kind of fix Batman emotionally. It's quite nice, it's quite beautiful.
Yeah. All right, Dragon. So, final thoughts. Like I said, this one is very self-contained, and honestly, I can kind of feel Don Yang's frustrations here. For me, just because I feel like Don Yang specifically, like they thrive in great backgrounds and everything like that, and this doesn't give them a lot of opportunity for that. It is a very self-contained episode that's mostly limited to just the hospital setting. But with that in mind, it's a cool bottle episode, and like you said, you very eloquently just stated how it it really ties everything together with Bruce's past and is a very good very good kind of standalone Bruce Wayne episode in that regard. I like the Harry Potter style backstory and details we get. So it's certainly a good episode. I don't think it rises to the Man Who Killed Batman or even Mudslide, but I do think it's pretty good in its own right. Although I don't know, it's like Mudslide has less flaws in it. I just think Mudslide's more fun. I don't know. That's what Ron Perlman gets you. So, all right. Final thoughts, Dragon.
Final thoughts for me. I think it's a very underrated episode. It gets lost in the shuffle with all like your Heart of Ices and all the other basically the villains always get a lot of love and like the almost gothams of the world. And of course, a few for Chance the Dream do get in there, but still a little tied to a villain. This episode, it's an excellent showcase for Leslie Thompkins and what Batman the Animated Series can do in 22 minutes, if you ask me. I love these grounded character episodes like Appointment in Crime Alley or Never Too Late. Again, we're kind of following these characters and we're kind of learning about them and kind of their role in kind of Gotham and kind of the grand whole of the story. In some cases, how they connect to Bruce Wayne. We really flesh out the people who live in Gotham when we do episodes like this. And I love how we're taking the 40s aesthetic, with the crime doctor of it all, and we're kind of making it play really well here. We're taking kind of a corny idea, and we're making it play really, really nice and really grounded here. You care about what happens, and for a one-shot character, and whatever you say, the ending, whatever anyone says, though, at the very end of the day, though, it is that ending is what makes the episode. The ending is utter perfection. It's a great vulnerable performance. It says so much about Batman as a character, always looking for kind of the time that he lost with his parents in a sense, and kind of and learning it through another character. Again, he's kind of bonding with kind of our quasi-villain of the episode. Again, our villain, it's Batman in some ways, while he's kind of he kind of redeems the villain in a grand sense, and as well as kind of redeeming kind of his own kind of past in a sense as well. So it's really solid episode. It's an underrated one for sure.
All right, Dragon, give us some Dozier.
Magic in the air? More young Bruce Wayne adventures? Can Batman exonerate a framed magician and save his old flame? Or will Zatanna's hope for justice disappear? Tune in and find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Batcave with Zatanna.
I thought I told
hallway
you to take the day
fights. Lots of hallway fights. Oh yeah, that's a better one.
off. Tell me about my fault.
Take the day off.